Thank you for coming, and hello to those of you on camera, or I mean online, I guess that's where you are. Everyone in here is an SLP, right? Right? And everybody watching is an SLP, so one big happy family. Let's look at what we're doing here. Will you pull out your handout that looks like this? It's called Frontal Lisp, Lateral Lisp, and it says AHCE 2011 on the top. I am an SLP. 1976 sounds like an awfully long time ago, I was realizing as she introduced me. 35, going on 36 years I've been an SLP. I'm very proud of that. It's the longest I've ever done anything in my life. My oldest daughter's 25, so I've only been a mom for 25 years, and I was married for less years than that. So SLP is my first and great love, and I assume many of you are in the same boat. You'll notice that in your handout package you have this handout, and then you also have something called the SOUP dialogue and something called the S dialogue. We'll be pulling those out later. And then you have something called EBP, Evidence-Based Practice. We'll be pulling that out in just a little bit. If you'll notice, these slides are numbered. Notice on the bottom right-hand corner you have number 1, number 2, and so forth. Now, those of you at home have all of the slides available. Those of you here have only the first few pages, and we'll be getting you the rest of those in just a minute. We're going to talk about practical therapy techniques today. Very little research. Yay! We'll be talking about how I do therapy, and hopefully it will be a mirror back to you about how you do therapy, and it will give you more insight perhaps into what you're already doing. I'll start the class by telling you about one of my clients years ago, little David. David was a 4th grade student with a bilateral lisp. Can you all do a bilateral lisp? Those of you at home, I would encourage you to do these as well. Everything that you do as I do them will teach you this material through a multi-sensory aspect, and it will help you understand the material better. So produce a bilateral lisp. You feel the middle of your tongue jammed up against the roof of your mouth. All right, David was a bright, intelligent, verbal, talkative 4th grade boy who had been living in England for many years and then moved to the United States. He had a bilateral lisp. His teacher referred him to me saying, "Is this a speech problem or is this a British accent?" She wasn't sure. So this was my 2nd year working, and I actually had never seen a lateral lisp before. So I said to David, so I'm thinking in my own mind, I know what this is. Okay, this is, what is this? You know, you remember your 2nd year working when you were thinking, I wish they had just told me what to do. Then I could do this much better. But you have to figure it out yourself. So I was looking at this bilateral lisp thinking, okay, I think I know what this is. This is a bilateral lisp. Okay. Yep, there it is. So I said, David, it sounds like your speech could use some work. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, you're making some of the letters wrong. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, like S. You're making S like this, and most kids make S like this. And I could see the little wheels starting to turn in his head. So I said, David, do you want to take some speech classes for this? And he said, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll do that. Now this was 1977 or 78. So this was the days before the IEP. SLPs that are young, do you know that there was a date before the IEP? Yeah, where all you had to do was send home a little permission slip that was run off on a mimeograph machine. You remember, I can still hear that mimeograph machine in my mind. Chicka-boom, 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 chicka-boom. And do you remember the smell of those things? Whenever you pass those out to the kids, they always went like this. We love the smell of those mimeographs. I miss them. So I sent home the little half a sheet of paper that said, I, Mr. or Mrs. Blank, give my permission, you know, blah, 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 blah. Sent it home. It came back the next week. We started therapy. David came in the 2nd week, and his bilateral lisp was gone. Just gone. And I said, first I didn't think it was the right kid. I said, what's your last name? So I'm looking him up. Yeah, it was the right kid. I said, David, your speech sounds a lot better today. And he said, thank you. And I said, what did you do? Now, I want him to tell me what he did so I know what to tell the next kid what to do. He said, well, you told me that the sound should come out the middle, and I just made myself do it that way. A dream client, a once-in-a-career client, never seen one since then with a lateral lisp, but I'm sure you're not here in this room or taking this on camera because you have kids that are that easy. I mean, those are the kids that come in once in a while. You tell them what to do, and they just do it. They have the cognition for the work. They have the auditory skills for the work. They have the speech movement skills for the work, and they have the determination to make the change. To me, those are the 4 winning elements right there. The cognition, which sometimes we have, sometimes we don't. You have kids with frontal lisps who have normal cognition, and I will use the word normal today, the kids that are in the bell-shaped curve in that normal big range there. And then you have kids with frontal lisp who have Down syndrome, for example. And then you have kids with, then you have kids with lateral lisps who are bright, and then kids with lateral lisp who are who have cognitive deficits. So we have to be able to address both issues. David had good auditory skills. He could hear what I was saying. He could attend to what I was saying. He could hear the difference between the correct and the incorrect production. When I said most kids say s and you're saying he could connect to that auditorily. Some of your kids are hearing impaired. Some of your kids are deaf and so forth. So we have to take that into consideration. And then David had the excellent oral movement skills, speech movement skills. He could get his mouth to do what he wanted it to do whenever he wanted it to do it. In fact, I didn't even have to show him how to change the sound, and he went home and figured it out himself. But you have kids who've been in lateral lisp therapy for 5 years and who can't seem to figure it out and get past it. The R phoneme is one of those elusive phonemes that kids can be in therapy for 2, 3, 4 years and not be able to figure out how to do the R.